Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. I'm going to start off with an audience poll right now. So when you go out to eat at a fast food casual restaurant, have you created your own meal instead of choosing from a preset one? Show of hands. I know, I have as well. You may be wondering what customizing meals has to do with composable commerce architectures, but in reality, they're not all that different. It's actually just the same. It's best of breed. What best of breed means, selecting and strategically integrating specialized solutions for each specific function to deliver a seamless and consistent customer experience across all touchpoints, across all the channels. And this also means taking it to all the markets as well. And today, you'll hear from two leading brands who didn't choose off the menu. They actually chose the best of breed, and they built the architecture that was right for them. With that, I'd like to bring out our first guest, Yuman Chan, Senior Director of Technology Engineering at the Vitamin Shoppe. Yuman, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
And before we dive in, could you please introduce yourself and give us an overview of the Vitamin Shoppe and your role?
Yeah, of course. So I'm Yuman Chen. I'm the Senior Director of Digital Technology at the Vitamin Shoppe. I'm responsible for engineering and product for digital channels at the Vitamin Shoppe. Just a little bit about the Vitamin Shoppe. We are a specialty retailer of health and wellness products and solutions. We believe everyone is deserving of good health, and we help our customers achieve their health and wellness goals and become their best selves. We have about 700 stores across the US, and if you guys are in the Northwest, you probably know us as by the name of Super Supplements. And if you haven't been to one of our stores, you really should, because our health enthusiasts, which is our associates in the stores, they're amazing. Even if you go there and don't buy anything, I guarantee you'll learn something and get something out of it. If you need any promotions and coupons, see me after the session.
So I'm aware that you went through the migration, moving from monolithic to composable commerce architecture. Could you tell us what that journey was like, and why did you choose to roll out in a phased approach, and what role did the best of breed play in it?
Yeah, absolutely. So when we actually started out, we weren't necessarily set on a composable commerce journey. There were certainly motivations, such as long development cycles, long deployment cycles. Speed to market was a challenge. Scalability was absolutely a challenge because of legacy hosting. We were on a classic monolith e-com platform, as it sounds like most of you were on at some point. So those are all the challenges. So what we did was that we established a set of guiding principles, in the sense that everything that we touch when we do any business ROI projects, enhancements, we want to make sure that we make it better, and then also that we make it more flexible, more agile, and then it's going to be future-proof. So with that, it goes very well with the best of breeds approach. As and when we replace sections of the website as part of a business ROI project, we would choose the right specialized tool for the area and the challenge that we're trying to solve. I think of it as almost like if for people who like cars, because I love cars, it's like using all-season tires, which is an all-year compromise, versus summer tires, winter tires, which perform much better, right? So that's really the guiding principle that we're following. So as I was saying, we started gradually chipping away at the monolith as and when we touch an area of the site, and then we started building out microservices for those areas. So over time, we've built up this arsenal of microservices, and then kind of decoupled a lot of things from the monolith, to the point where we built up this momentum, and then it just happened to align with a lot of the market principles and also composable commerce principles. At that point, we went to our business and said, hey, this is the time we have to decide, do we double down and kind of finish everything else, which would be cart, checkout, and profile. I did a whole presentation to our CFO, C-level. By the end of the presentation, my CFO came to me and said, we don't really have a choice, do we? But not in a bad way, right? Not because we don't have a choice, because it just made sense. It was the one that really made sense. So we doubled down on it. We engaged with commercetools, and then we kind of wrapped up that way with at least the migration. And that's just the beginning of it to me.
And often when you do these kind of technology migrations, and it's a digital transformation effectively, it's also organizational one too. So how did your team need to adapt to this new ways of working, to the new approach, and have these shifts had any lasting impact on your teams and how they function?
Yeah, absolutely. In short, the shift is actually tremendous because when we started, it was monolith, like I mentioned. So it was a team of core Java developers who had a lot of domain knowledge. So as we started going to microservices and cloud architecture, they had to pick up skills like Kubernetes, we use AWS, et cetera. So not just from the skill set standpoint, right, but even from an ownership standpoint. Now they own the whole stack. They have to be building in tools for DevOps. They own the infrastructure, platform engineering. So all of that kind of amounted to this sense of autonomy and ownership that really stuck with the team. So the whole culture completely shifted. So they became what I consider the change from developers to engineers, because now they're really engineering a lot of solutions and spending time engineering hard architecture problems, and then spending a lot more time innovating. So that culture has stuck with us, and then everyone is now just always looking for opportunities to further improve the stack, further become more effective, and coming up with the tooling that will help us get even more effective.
That's fascinating. Being an engineer, those things are really close to my heart. So if you were to talk about the 2 or 3 most important things in getting this free platform done in time that you had, which would be?
So for us, I kind of alluded to we having to do this in phases where we're building in business ROI along the way. That was really the only way for us as an organization to actually get through it, because quite frankly, we don't have a lot of budget. I'm sure it's the same problem with our folks here. But without being able to deliver ROI for each project, the transformation probably would not have happened anyway. Second thing is the investing in engineers, right? That upskilling and then also enabling them to be able to do all these things, having them learn, leading to job satisfaction, and then the quality of life of the engineers. I think that's very important, along with the tooling as well. So that's another thing. Third thing is that when we went live, we went with a very robust launch strategy. Mm-hmm. So I think I heard this from one of the talks yesterday as well. So it's a very similar scenario where with the dark launches, we use feature dials, internal launches, and then we started launching to certain geographical locations strategically, and then we started ramping up. And that went without a hitch, and then we actually accelerated the rate of which we turned the dial up to all the customers, because we were all there expecting issues, but then we're like, okay, waiting for it, and then it was just live, and it just went without a hitch.
It's amazing when it just works, isn't it?
Yeah, that's when you think about is something wrong? Did I miss something?
You hit upon a very important point, which is ROI. When we often do digital transformations, it's looked upon more as an investment, and you want to know when you're going to get that return. How did you manage to do that, deliver the ROI while you were going through this digital transformation?
Yeah, I think it's more of a mindset. When you look at these projects, when you're planning out the roadmap, it's not necessarily on engineering or technical boundaries, right? So looking at it from a roadmap perspective, what makes sense for the business, and then building in the transformation as part of those projects. That was really the key for us. Like I said, we don't have a lot of budget. We're a small team, so having that approach actually naturally just helped us do the transformation itself. And in terms of actual ROI, we've seen a lot of benefits from it already. We went live fully just before Black Friday last year, and then that was the first Black Friday that we were all as a team just at home, really relaxing and spending time with our family.
That's amazing. That calls for. Having gone through this transformation, what would you say are the biggest lessons that you learned from them? And what advice would you give to others who are considering embarking on this journey?
Yeah, absolutely. First thing, it's one that gets overlooked, because when you do a complete deplatform, this is what we have been calling it, which is not a re-platform, right? There are considerations, like it's almost like when you are renovating your house versus when you're ripping it away and then building a new one. There are things that are probably sitting in some corner that someone forgot about, is sending some data to some third party, that it just works, right? But then when you rip everything out, it's no longer there. Next thing you know, it's not working, right? So you gotta make sure all those little things are considered as well, which gets overlooked. Like I mentioned, really investing in your engineers, upskilling, right? Not just from an implementation standpoint, but also from a maintenance standpoint. Because if you implement this whole stack, it's nice and pretty, it's like the nice, shiny kind of F1 car that I heard yesterday as an analogy, but then you don't have the team to support it, then it's not going to be any good. And along with that, the tooling, because now that you move from a monolithic application to essentially a distributed system, you have a lot more to consider. If you don't scale up your tooling, you're going to end up either having to hire a lot of people, which is not feasible, or a stack that is not maintainable. So really invest in that DevOps, automation, platform engineering, right? So that's going to be critical.
Wow, very true. And looking ahead, how do you see the Vitamin Shoppe's composable commerce architecture evolving further?
Yeah, so to me, we've kind of, quote unquote, gone through the transformation, but that's really just a starting point, because that sets the foundation for us to really deliver a unified commerce experience. Now we have this sort of common layer behind the scenes that can really do a lot of things across our channels. Now it's really the time for us to make everything seamless, right? So I think, yesterday I think we saw Nick from Screwfix. They did a tremendous job at that. So sort of similar direction that we want to head to. Second thing is it enables us to do true one-to-one personalization, and also what we consider next best action, the concept of that, to really personalize experience across the different channels for our customers, so that at every single touch point that they interact with us with, it's going to be the same very high-touch personal experience that they get in the store. And then, the only constant is really change, right? So we have to build and make sure we're prepared and adapt to it. It's it's a recurring theme that we've been hearing at this conference. So we don't know what that change is, but we can be making sure that we can be prepared for it as and when it comes.
Thank you, Yuman. Your insights were really valuable. They were really great, and thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Well, like the Vitamin Shoppe, Breville recognized the limitations of a monolithic commerce platform and embraced a modular, composable architecture to achieve greater agility and better serve their customers. To delve deeper into their journey and the transformative power of a best-of-breed approach, please welcome Pamela Liang, Group Product Manager at Breville, to the stage. Hey. Thank you, Pamela, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, and I'm excited to be here, everyone.
Pamela, could you introduce yourself to everyone and give us an overview of Breville and your role?
Absolutely. Well, so again, very delighted and excited to be here on behalf of Breville to share our story and our journey with all of you here in the same room. My name, as you have already heard, I'm Pamela. But please call me Pam if you bumped into me in the hallway, because Pamela does sound very formal, and it often means I'm in trouble. So when someone tag you at Pamela Liang, that's when you have that shiver and go, oh, whoa, what's broken again? Well, as you would have known my role at Breville, I'm a product manager looking after our global digital experience. And under the portfolio, I have looked after brands such as Breville, one of them, Sage Appliances, Beans.com, Baratza, Lilith, as well as Chef Steps. My portfolio sort of ranges from defining the front-end component strategies to acquiring customers, so acquisition journey within the web experiences, to all the way engagement, retention, loyalty, but obviously conversion before loyalty, as you would have known, and that's what we're sort of mainly talking about today. As for Breville, I'm not sure if all of you have heard us or our brand before. We are actually a Australia-funded company over just, I think we've just celebrated our 90 years in existence. So it's a really, really long time, a really, really old, trustworthy brand in Australia. We're actually famous for our innovation in small kitchen appliances, especially our coffee machine, countertop ovens, not to mention kettle, boosters, juicers, all the stuff that appears on your kitchen countertop. Our mission at Breville is to ensure that we empower our customers to enjoy the culinary journey and making sure that they are always getting that sense of pride and joy, no matter whether it's as easy as pulling every single day meal, making lunches for your family and kids and relatives and loved ones, or even through to the morning coffee ritual. Our goal is to ensure that we're there to evolve with our customer, elevate that everyday moment to ensure that they're always having a great start of their day. And if any of you out there are coffee snobs, enthusiasts, please talk to me afterwards. I can tell you about coffees all day long, as well as our journey to Composable Stack.
Super. I'm sure there'll be plenty of them. So to set the scene, Pam, sorry, correction.
Okay.
Since Breville went through the migration journey as well, the digital transformation, could you talk about the specific pain points, the challenges Breville faced with its legacy commerce architecture, and how did those challenges impact your ability to meet the customer requirements, their needs, and drive growth?
Absolutely. It's a common one, very common one. So I think 3 takeaway, getting out of monolithic, as it's very expensive to support, challenges to attract new talents, because you're working with legacy stack, and obviously it does limit the ability for us to scale and grow. So like everyone else, our story starts from, and I don't think this is new anymore, you walk in day one, you roll up your sleeve, you're ready to build, impact, make a dent in the world, and then you sit down with your team and you go, yeah, that can be done. 24 months, we'll be looking at developing and deploying, and about 30 months' time, we can start measuring, testing, iterating, and you're like, maybe we can do baby step. But again, talking about monolith, God, I love them. It's a love and hate relationship. As we know, and if you worked with them before and familiar with them, they have so much stuff intertwined into them. Even the smallest change requires blood, tears, and sweat, literally, to make simple changes. And then for a global business like us, delivering and deploying a very simple, small feature, that roadmap looks longer, further away than us going to the moon, seriously. So to that point, we're like, okay, how can we retain our talent to maintain this beast? And how do we attract new talents to say, hey, we've got some really excited platform for you to work on, and you will know the answer before you get it. So probably don't ask. So I think for that aspect, there's millions of lines of codes that you always have to manage and you have to navigate through, and therefore counter-interacting with different teams, blockers, will always stop you from the agility and flexibility to scale and do whatever. And it actually blocks a lot of creativity and innovation because you kill them before they are even formed because, before I share an idea with you, I kind of know the answer, so let me talk to someone else. So what is the purpose of your existence if you can't drive impact and if you can't deliver? And so for us, the challenge has been, we're so slow, and we need to be faster. Our customers wouldn't wait. You wouldn't wait for us to get ready to buy your coffee machine to make your coffee, because otherwise you would have gone into alternative. The world is evolving so fast, so we need to find a solution and we need to pivot very quickly. And I suppose that is where we kind of decided that what is that secret sauce that we can start implying that can help us achieve that goal that we're looking for? And I suppose this is the main challenges that we're trying to depart from. Continuously investing into something that is really expensive. You're having challenges to attract new talents and retain them. And obviously, how do you get to scale and speed?
Wow. And as you were going through your journey, Pam, what was the most important thing for Breville? Why did Breville choose composable commerce architecture?
Well, so one key thing that I've elaborated so much is, the monolithic solutions that we had, and you almost have to dance with it. You roll. You've probably heard of the term. Tango with monolith. You roll out, you roll back, and you roll out again, and you roll back. For us, that's just an endless loop. And so when we migrate to commerce platform, our key decision is to ensure that we are going to find a partner or a solution that can actually grow with us at the scale that we are, which is global, and at the speed that we want. Because if you build a beautiful feature and you can only launch in one region, that's a minimal impact, because we have a group of network around us that we want to start impacting and then getting in front of customers straight away. And we choose the composed commerce solution for the reason to achieve agility as well as scalability. And obviously, for a business like us, we are a manufacturer business. We're not really a SaaS company. We're not heavily invested in technology, as Umam will probably have shared. In businesses similar to us, we generally don't have a very big budget for technology, unless if you're a SaaS company and technology is your core strength. And obviously for us, selecting partner, they bring more partners with us. And partner on partner, it manifests a lot of creativity as well as innovation. And it's through that journey we've actually learned a lot of different use cases on how we can apply such a solution in such way, which really was an eye-opener for us. It's a very exciting journey, and I have to say, and every day I'm learning new stuff. And then the other thing, obviously, one of the most important, which I touched on, is cost saving. You literally don't have to invest so much in having such a big cross-functional team to maintain a very big platform and have specialists weaved in different sectors, and then, always trying to maintain outdated framework, counter logic. Sometimes you write and deploy codes just to counter the other code. So you don't have to do any of that anymore. So for us, that was essentially very eye-opening, as in it only brought the agility that we're looking for, it also brought the flexibilities of working with external vendors. And we're not interlocked into one ecosystem. And that really brings up a lot of ideas on how we can move things forward.
I'm really pleased you spoke about how you're bringing in the vendors and the partners to solve those specific problems and not having to solve them all by yourselves.
Absolutely.
Could you share with everyone as well the approach that you're taking, the best-of-breed approach at Breville, when you're bringing these partners and vendors in?
Absolutely. Well, the one thing that I touched on was we don't want to be interlocked with one specific partner, vendor, and then, because you're basically on the trajectory to build another monolith. You're just jumping from one monolithic platform to another about to become monolithic platform. One of the things that we focused really heavily on in our team is we're trying to leverage every single customer challenge, business case, use case as a modular or component. And what can we build and create that stacks on top and that lays the great foundation that will take us from here to there. It sounds very familiar. I'm pretty sure everyone thinks like that. However, in order for us to make that true, what we've done in this journey, and I consider it as best of breed, is you take a problem, you take a challenge, you find a relative solution to build for that specific need, and you scale with that. And down the track, if the things evolved, how AI comes in. AI wasn't such a big thing when I joined Breville. It was like fintech and crypto. So who would have known? However, what Composable brought us was the agility and flexibility that we don't need to go, what do we do now? But instead, you can actually replace one component with another without impacting the integrity of your platform. And the speed that you are actually looking at, the different ideas that you get presented actually multiplies. I'm not sure actually if that's a good idea for a product manager, because when you're working in a monolithic world, you have one initiative that you focus on 12 months and you can plan it out precisely, whereas now it's like, oh, you can do this and you can do that, you can do that. Wow. And every product manager probably have like about 4 or 5 initiatives at the same time for a single quarter. So a different challenge, maybe for a different conference, but definitely we saw a lot of flexibilities and freedom in that, and that's definitely the best of breed that we are following through.
And if we go a step further and now look at, now that you've done the migration and you're on the other side, how does this drive the customer engagement, the business growth? What are those changes that you have seen, the results that you have seen of this transformation?
Of course. So as I touched on, we are already seeing a significant impact. Not to mention, we came from the speed of deploying or making impact, I should say, in product term, is we came from years to months, months to weeks, weeks to days. In order for us to roll out, to start selling in a new country, well, pending if all the backend system is set up, obviously, it only takes us a few days to spin up catalog experiences, and a few weeks within less than 2 months to spin up a web store. So the speed is phenomenal. However, when I touched on the Composable capability to work with different partners, we also work with Algolia as our search partner. Instead of just bringing Algolia to power our internal site search, we actually worked with Algolia to build a recommendation engine to power localized and personalized content in different regions. And that itself helped us achieve speed without needing to change core logic behind the scene and wait for a few months and test it before you can actually deploy. Everything kind of can be scaled in once, and then with a very low maintenance and very low I suppose, specialists in this field to actually support. So that was really good. Another example was we worked with another partner of ours, Voucherify. We built a promotion engine with their support that brings us the sophistications on to enable us to offer different layers of subscription discounts on different segmentation partners as well as different regions. And that helps our GTM team to navigate different promotion offers without needing to engage too much into the development cycle and then having a very complicated and lengthened process. So that was some really cool results that we're already seeing in terms of impact.
And what advice, Pam, you would give to anyone else who's looking to start off on this journey?
Well, I'd say work backwards. What is the key challenge that is presented in front of you? And where do you see yourself ending up? What's the end goal there? What are you trying to achieve? And you work back from, if that is your business end goal, what is your customer need to help you as a business to get along into that journey that you want? And then define all the challenges, define all the areas of constraints, and then you can find a partner. I found our partner really good at listening. Sometimes I use them as a counseling service, no joke. They listen to your problem, they listen to your challenge, and then they usually will bring a new different aspect of areas on, and as well as a different angle on how you can actually see your challenge and problem. So with that, I'll leave you with all the points that I've touched on, and I hope you did learn something from our journey.
Thank you, Pam. This was really insightful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.